Okay, so how has your life changed now that you're an objectivist?
I read Atlas Shrugged when I was 17, so I've been an objectivist for my entire adult life, really. But at that time, it did change. I think I felt prior to that, and I think most young people who are honest and smart are looking for answers to the big questions and how should I act and what does it mean to be good, and to get those answers and to be sure of them was a really amazing, I think, experience. To have that certainty, and then it's just kind of taken me through life. And I would say it's made my life better because when problems arise, I'm not as confused. You know, I know where I'm coming from. I'm not as confused by the news because I know, you know, what's going on in the world. I'm very good at analyzing politics because I know immediately and on principle if that's going to violate my rights or not, because I understand on a fundamental basis that I should have a right to live my life the way I want to.
So a lot of people are going to say a 17-year-old girl read a book and it changed her life.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it happens to every other 17-year-old out there.
Or 20-year-old, or 30-year-old, or 40-year-old.
Hey, I know people who at 40 read Atlas Shrugged and was like, wow, I mean, this has basically validated everything I've ever thought, and then has given me an extra sort of boost of, I was thinking wrong about this, or it oftentimes will change people's relationships, because a lot of times it's, you know, one of the main things that in Ayn Rand's philosophy is her ethics, which is rational egoism, rational self-interest. And that's extremely controversial, but to me that's what saves me every time. And it may sound harsh, but I definitely make sure my values are going to further my life long range.
Rational self-interest?
Rational
self-interest. What does that mean?
That's a good question. So you could be, the common idea of what selfishness is that it's this hedonistic, I'm just going to do whatever feels good, I'm going to trample over people, I don't care about my wife, I don't care about my kids, I'm going to do whatever I feel like doing. And that isn't what we mean by it. And if you just look it up in the dictionary, it just means that you come first. And I just think if you put anybody else first, and that doesn't mean, if you value your spouse enough to put your life on the line for them, that's still valuing yourself, because they're such a huge value to you that you're saying they're more, my kids are just, I mean, most people feel this way about their kids. They would lay down in front of a train for their kids. And that is perfectly rational and perfectly self-interested. And then the rational part, I think, comes in when you look at things in a long-range basis. So it's not the immediate pleasure of the moment. It's what's good for my life long term. If I go to the movie instead of study for this test that I have tomorrow, that's not really good in the long term. It might feel good tonight, but tomorrow it's not going to be very good for you. So it's not about following just your emotional moment and being selfish in that sense. That's not at all what we mean.
Let me tell you a story that I had stuck with me forever along this same line. Let's say you're on an airplane, and all of a sudden the airplane loses altitude or the pressure in the cabin, and all the oxygen masks drop down. And your first instinct, if say you're a mother, is to try to help your children or your spouse or the old lady sitting next to you, whatever. But they tell you, put the mask over your own mouth first, because if you can't help yourself, you're going to be no help to anyone else ever.
Right, and you really need to be ready to really quickly put that mask on yourself so you can help your child. I mean, that's why they tell you that. Absolutely, and that's true. I mean, I don't think you want to be selfish just to help other people, but I don't think that you're any help to anybody if you're not selfish. You can't come from a place, you're not going to be happy, first of all. You're not going to be happy if you live your life for other people. And if you're not happy, you're going to be an angry, bitter, miserable person. You'll probably be interested in controlling other people and telling them what to do, because you're just so bitter and you want people to be as miserable as you.
And we see a lot of that
We
these
see a lot
days.
of that. I mean, I think of the politicians I see, and I think they're just they talk about helping other people, and they're just these angry, bitter, corrupt individuals, and they need to be more selfish.
And both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
It's not just one side of
Totally,
the aisle
yeah.
or the other side of the
Right.
aisle. Both sides are trying to control
Right.
people and tell them what they should be thinking, what they should be doing.
Right.
From your toothpaste to your shower head.
That's right.
That's a really good analogy. So let's talk about how this has impacted your life, though.
Yeah.
Do you just hang out with all people that think like you
No, I don't.
and have philosophical discussions about how we can change the world? Or how do you advance what you're thinking? How
Yeah.
do you advance the agenda of using reason to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, I just try to live by it, first of all. I mean, really, the reason for me to be an objectivist is to have a good, happy life. That's why I want to be, that's why I'm an objectivist. I wouldn't be if I didn't think that that would actually work. There is no other reason. But I do have a lot of objectivist friends, probably so many that I sometimes forget how the other people think.
Lucky you.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I have, 400 objectivist Facebook friends, and so they're always posting news articles and commenting on it, and I forget that there's this whole world of liberals and even Republicans.
Yes.
In terms of being active and trying to, I want people to be rational, and particularly in politics, because that affects my life. Otherwise, I really don't, I like just to be around rational people. And if you go to work most days, most people are rational at work, or they have areas of their lives where they're rational. And I think if I don't know that I do a whole lot in that realm as much as just kind of responding well to that. But in politics, the Minnesota Objectivist Association was riled up just like everybody else when Obama was elected and Obamacare was coming down the pike, and then the Tea Party movement. So if we've had a table at the Tea Party ever since the first rally a few years ago, and that's been wonderful for us, and we love meeting all the people who come to our booth. And
So you've seen your numbers grow a lot.
we have, and we're doing more than we used to do because we have more people who are interested. So we'll run an Atlas Shrugged reading group. We have one running right now, and that's anybody. I mean, anyone who is interested in reading Atlas Shrugged and kind of applying it more. It's a fiction novel, but it's so profound and it's so deep ideologically. You can get so much more out of it than just, oh yeah, hey, that's like now, which is great.
Yes.
It's really nice to be able to read and laugh, because she writes such good villains, and she's
I
just
know.
full of humor at the situation. And then also there's heroes that are fighting it, and it can kind of give you a little bit of oomph
Inspiration.
and inspiration, and these people are they're successful at it. So, and we need to see that, I think, because it's a tough battle every day. When you read the paper, it seems like...
And it's amazing because it was written in 1957.
1957.
And it's like, oh my gosh.
But she lived through the communist revolution.
Right.
So, and that's who Ayn Rand is. She lived through the communist revolution. She immigrated to the United States because she wanted to write novels and films. She wanted to write for the movies. And she actually did write some screenplays that I think one of them was made into a movie. I think another one is coming up, possibly.